The Sui network is one of the most hyped crypto projects of all time, and today I want to find out if this project is the real deal or if it'll be yet another big disappointment. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Virtual Bacon channel where I teach you how to build wealth with crypto. Since its announcement in the summer of 2022, the Sui and Aptos networks have created one of the biggest hype waves crypto has ever seen. If you remember, in the 2020 bull cycle, the biggest crypto narratives was alternative layer 1s, also known as the Ethereum killers. But since the market top in 2021, we've seen so many projects come and go without ever coming close to dethroning Ethereum. And a large reason for that is because people started to realize that Ethereum's scalability issues would not stick around too much longer with the development of layer 2s and ZK technology. Even though we've seen the alternative layer 1s lose popularity over time with projects like EOS, Neo, Tezos, etc., the Sui network might just be an exception to the trend. So today I'm covering everything you need to know about this up-and-coming layer 1, from the background, technical roadmap, and the token launch. Oh, and in case you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Okay, let's dive in. The Sui network is brought to market by the company known as Mysten Labs in the summer of 2022. The two most notable founders are CEO Evan Chang and CTO Sam Blackshear. An important history to note is that most of the company co-founders were former employees at Meta and worked together on Facebook and Meta's blockchain project called Diem. The project aimed to be a global payment network, but it failed due to regulatory conditions and had to be discontinued. However, because of the founders' determination to keep building, Mysten Labs would let these developers continue their goals of making the next hyper-scalable blockchain. Mysten Labs CEO Evan Chang held high-ranking positions at Meta and Apple and had a big hand in making the software that powers our iPhone. As for the CTO Sam, he's the creator of the Move programming language, which is used to power not only Sui blockchain but also Aptos and a lot of other blockchains coming up, but more on that in just a second. Mysten Labs were the initial contributors to the Sui network, but as of late it appears that the Sui network is being led by the Sui Foundation, and Mysten has taken more of a role of only developing the core technology. Sui network also received one of the biggest funding rounds we've ever seen in crypto. Not only did they achieve a valuation of nearly $3 billion in the private funding rounds, but they also held their raise in the middle of a bear market. You could also say they lucked out because the funding round was led by the now disgraced Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX Ventures, just months before their catastrophic collapse. What a shit show that was. But we'll actually cover how this has been resolved in just a bit. Other investors include prominent names like A16Z, Coinbase Ventures, Binance Labs, and Jump Crypto. To understand why VCs were so interested, let's look at Sui Network's technology next. Sui is a layer 1 blockchain designed to be the first internet-scale programmable blockchain platform capable of instant settlement, high throughput, low latency, and cost efficiency to power applications for practically billions of users. And I know you might be thinking, hey, didn't we hear all of this before with all of the hundreds of Ethereum killers? Well, while the idea of transforming blockchain technology isn't anything new, Sui is taking a different approach for scaling blockchains that just might be an actual game changer. Sui is able to process over 100,000 transactions per second thanks to its unique model of horizontal scaling. Here's how it works. The Sui blockchain uses a unique consensus mechanism that differentiates from traditional blockchains. Traditional linear blockchains like Ethereum normally require transactions to happen one at a time. With Sui, however, its distributed ledger is based on a directed acyclic graph, also known as a DAG, rather than a linear blockchain. On this network, transactions are processed through their own consensus protocol called Narwhal and Tusk, which divides the responsibilities for data availability and transaction ordering. If you don't know what that means, that's okay. This basically says that Sui can run multiple transactions at the same time and isn't worried about ordering transactions, which has been a huge problem with nearly all other layer 1 blockchains. Another key differentiator for Sui versus other layer 1s is that it doesn't rely on the consensus protocol for every transaction. Instead, it only runs consensus when needed, but most of the time it uses what they call causal ordering. This is the real secret sauce that lets Sui run more efficiently and become super scalable. This asynchronous protocol also allows Sui network to have higher uptime guarantees and be more resistant to denial of service attacks. If they can deliver on this approach, this can also reduce computational power and transactional costs, making it a groundbreaking and ideal solution for large-scale, high-frequency applications. Think of use cases like education and gaming sector, which can vastly benefit from this. Another major differentiator for Sui is the Move programming language. The Move language was used to power the DM blockchain at Meta, but once the project was discontinued, the two spin-out projects, Sui and Aptos, decided to keep using the language. This is because while at Meta, the researchers, including Mysten Labs founders, realized that the modern Web3 programming languages weren't only a security risk, but were also made as a poor developer experience. That's why Meta didn't build their own blockchain with an existing language. Instead, they rather chose to make their own. Without getting too technical, the Move programming language is based on the Rust base layer language that vastly increases developer safety while also prioritizing scalability. And by the way, Solana also uses Rust as its programming language, hence why so many Solana developers have been migrating to Sui and Aptos. So far, developers have had a ton of good things to say about Move versus the old Solana stack, and it's a big reason developers have already committed to building on Move-based blockchains like Sui and Aptos. As you might guess, Sui and Aptos are direct competitors of each other. Both founding teams got their start working on the DM project at Meta and building on the Move programming language. If you want to learn more about how these two projects stack up against each other, make sure to subscribe to the channel for my upcoming Sui versus Aptos video. And while programming languages might not be that big of a deal to you, especially if you're not a developer, it's important to know that devs ultimately make the success of an ecosystem. Without real applications, you'll end up as a ghost chain much similar to Polkadot. And this brings me to my next topic, which is the Sui ecosystem. At the time of recording, the Sui network is currently in testnet, but mainnet is scheduled to launch very soon on May 3rd of 2023. So it's hard to say right now which projects will be the leaders in the Sui ecosystem when mainnet goes live. But don't worry, I'll publish an update in the future after the mainnet launch to go over the real applications with the biggest traction. For now, here are a few projects building on Sui that have separated themselves from the rest. The first thing to know is that since both Sui and Aptos use the Move development stack, some projects in the Aptos ecosystem have already announced that they will also be building on Sui. And the first project in that category is Thala Labs. Thala is a stablecoin project similar to MakerDAO and its stablecoin DAI. It lets you borrow against Aptos APT token and the Sui token to mint MOD, which is the native stablecoin on the Move ecosystem. Another infrastructure project I'm watching is liquid staking provider Tortuga, which has already deployed on Aptos and will soon deploy on Sui once it hits mainnet. Tortuga lets users earn yield on their Sui tokens while also providing a liquid staked version of Sui that can be used in other DeFi applications. This is very similar to LSD protocols like Lido and how it interacts with Ethereum. These LSD protocols usually track the ecosystem growth very closely. Tortuga doesn't currently have a governance token, but I wouldn't be surprised for it to launch soon after the Sui mainnet. The next sector of projects to cover are decentralized exchanges. These are the usual suspects that make up the core DeFi infrastructure of a new blockchain. On this list, we have Pontum, Liquid Swap, MoveX, Cetus Protocol, and Ares Markets. All of these decentralized exchanges support both Aptos and Sui. And interestingly, PancakeSwap, the leading DEX on the BNB chain, is also deployed on Aptos and Sui. On the side of NFTs, there are also some established players like Topaz, Souffle, and Blue Moves, which can all support Sui and Aptos NFTs. In fact, NFTs are one of the easiest ways for a new blockchain to gain initial traction, so definitely watch out for the blue chip collections launching on the Sui NFT marketplaces soon. Sui also already has a domain name service called Sui NS, so you'll soon be able to claim your Sui domain shortly after the mainnet launch. I also want to point out that Mysten Labs have placed an emphasis on Web3 gaming, so Sui will likely have many gaming projects as well. If I could describe the Sui ecosystem overall, I'd say that even though they aren't in mainnet yet, we've already seen a lot of developers commit to building on Sui, especially coming from Solana. So I expect to see good activity after the mainnet launch. And now for the part most of you have been waiting for. Let's talk about the Sui token and their broken promise of an airdrop and the Sui token sale that used to replace it. The ticker symbol for the Sui token is also Sui, SUI, and at the time of recording, it isn't available for trading yet. But this will change very soon on May 3rd when the mainnet launches. Sui is the native token of the blockchain network, obviously, and will be used for things like on-chain governance, staking, and network transactions. But the big news that everyone has been talking about for months is the Sui Airdrop. In fact, I made a very popular video about the Sui Airdrop where we went through a lot of the testnet transactions, a lot of different steps to try to qualify for this airdrop, but there actually turned out to not be an airdrop, and only the last step in that tutorial video qualified people for this incentive token sale. Instead of an airdrop, the Sui token is being brought to market by the Sui Community Access Program, which can be classified as a token sale. And this sale can be broken down into two categories. The first category is the recognition sale, which is only available to those who are whitelisted by the Sui Foundation. The snapshot deadline for this was February 1st, and over 180,000 accounts were eligible for the sale, but only half of them were randomly selected to actually end up on the whitelist. I also want to point out, because of KYC, US residents weren't eligible for this recognition sale. This was one of the reasons for the community's backlash, but I can kind of understand why they did this. The SEC is heavily limiting new crypto projects that are launching from US citizens and residents from participating. For those who ended up on the whitelist, they could purchase up to 1,500 Sui tokens for 3 cents per token. This is much cheaper than what the token price would be at launch, but more on that in a second. Users who were eligible for this sale can buy tokens from 3 exchanges, namely Bybit, KuCoin, and OKX, which held about 150 million Sui tokens combined for all of the token sales. Another major plus is that these whitelisted tokens will be fully unlocked during the mainnet launch. Then we have the general sale, where participants can purchase up to 10,000 Sui tokens for 10 cents each. For those keeping track at home, this is a maximum of $1,000 investment. For the general sale, only KuCoin and OKX hosted it, and these exchanges have been allocated 225 million Sui tokens for sale in the public round. Now let's look at the tokenomics. Sui has a total supply of 10 billion tokens, which means the recognition sale investors are buying at a fully diluted valuation of $300 million. You can calculate this by taking 10 billion and times that by 3 cents. The general sale investors are buying at a fully diluted valuation of $1 billion. Again, 10 billion times 10 cents. In my opinion, these numbers are not only fair, but also incredibly lucrative for the public investors. This is because Sui and Mysten Labs have already reached a valuation of $2 billion in its latest private funding round. This means institutional investors like A16Z, Jump, Binance Labs, Coinbase Ventures all bought into the token at a $2 billion fully diluted valuation. Effectively, the public sale investors are getting in at a better price than the big VCs. The $300 million and $1 billion valuation are actually super cheap, even though they sound like super huge numbers. In comparison, Sui's biggest competitor, Aptos, is already trading at a $10 billion total diluted valuation. This will give a 33x return for the recognition sale buyers and a 10x return for the general sale buyers. And on top of this, not only is the valuation super favorable for the public sale buyers, but the vesting was also very attractive. The recognition sale has 100% fully tokens unlocked for participants at launch, while the general sale has a 1-year linear vesting schedule. For the regular public investor, this vesting schedule might seem weird. You might not have heard of it, and it might seem like long. Why do you not get all your tokens at once? However, the 1-year timeline is actually super short compared to typical vesting schedules of private investors. For instance, the Aptos private sale investors have a 4-year vesting schedule with a 1-year cliff. This means they didn't get any tokens in the first year during the cliff, and only gradually start to receive tokens from year 2 to year 4. Truth be told, if I personally had the opportunity to invest in Sui at around a $1 billion fully diluted valuation, I'd jump on the opportunity because that's clearly free money. Remember, this isn't financial advice. We're just doing comparisons sakes here, but assuming those numbers make sense and Sui is going to reach a similar valuation as Aptos, you can do the calculations yourself. There aren't any guarantees investing, but this is how I think things could play out. If you remember from my 2023 2023 crypto portfolio video, I have also been planning to add Sui as part of my long-term crypto portfolio. So make sure to check that video to see how much of Sui I'm putting in the portfolio and what else is in. Okay, if you watched any other ecosystem highlights on this channel, you know a Virtual Bacon project review would not be complete without discussing my concerns for the project. The first elephant in the room we need to address is that the Sui network did receive a massive investment from FTX, who likely owed a great deal of Sui tokens at some point down the road. Luckily, this deal has been officially settled, with Mysten Labs repurchasing the entire stake held by FTX. This transaction was approved by the United States Bankruptcy Court for the District of Delaware as part of FTX's Chapter 11 bankruptcy proceedings. It included FTX's entire equity stake in Mysten Labs and all of FTX warrant rights to purchase Sui tokens. This was a hell of an expensive deal though, as Mysten Labs had to spend $96 million to buy back all the Sui shares from FTX. The stake was originally purchased by FTX as part of Mysten's $300 million Series B fundraise, which was announced in September of 2022. So essentially, FTX had 1/3 of the entire funding round, which would have dramatically impacted the token potential of Sui. So really kudos to the Mysten Labs team for going through with this and shelling out so much of the money that's already in their pockets for the long-term success of the Sui network. Okay, the next real concern I have is with the overall layer 1 adoption. Layer 2s are quickly becoming mainstream and they're making claims of the blockchain development space, promising cheap and fast transactions while maintaining the same security guarantees as Ethereum. Since speed and cost is no longer an issue, any alternative layer 1s cannot compete on the security and decentralization front with Ethereum. These blockchains then need to reinvent themselves. When Aptos first went live, we saw a brief period of hype, but it quickly cooled off, and the same thing could very well happen to Sui. Overall, I still think Sui will be one of the biggest new crypto ecosystems to launch this year, in the short term at least. There could be potential opportunities in the Sui token if the valuation doesn't match up to our expectations like we've just discussed, and I personally expect it to reach at least $10 billion in fully diluted valuation similar to Aptos. You can already try to get in the grounds early for Sui Ecosystem projects such as the first decentralized exchanges, stablecoin issuers, lending protocols, NFT marketplaces, etc. These projects could also benefit from this launch hype. However, in the long term, Sui really needs to find its unique use cases that cannot be replicated on Ethereum layer 2s. Otherwise, it will continue to lose out on organic ecosystem adoption due to the sheer dominance of Ethereum. While the Sui network might be new, you could also argue it's been in development since Meta's DM project was created, which means their team has over 5 years of experience building blockchain technology. So I do have some faith in that regard. Another perspective to think about is their custom developer stack around the Move programming language, which received highly positive feedback from developers. So Sui might just end up being the flagship blockchain to build on for Rust developers and Move programming language developers in the future. With these factors in mind, I still remain bullish on Sui for the next bull run. So overall, I think this ecosystem is poised to make a splash in the next crypto wave. They just really need to find their unique angles to shine. Okay, so that wraps up my deep dive on the Sui network and its token launch. If you like this video, please let me know down in the comments which projects you want me to cover next. I personally really love doing these ecosystem deep dives because they act as good research for me personally as well. And I hope you find them just as helpful. If you want more of this type of content but want it faster, head on over to virtualbacon.com to sign up for my free newsletter with over 12,000 friendly readers now. Every week I write about the latest market events, hottest narratives, and my personal investing insights. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you found this helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next video.